This is the story that's got me fired up tonight. It's not the most pressing story in the world, but I'm so compelled to do this because a lie is a lie. America's most watched cable news talent is on this nonstop crusade to cover his backside. Now, for the second time this week, Bill O'Reilly is trying to basically worm his way out of a lie that he told on Tuesday night. Just so we're all crystal clear on this, here is what he said to Oklahoma Republican Senator Tom Coburn on Tuesday.
You don't know anybody on Fox News, because there hasn't been anyone, that said people will go to jail if they don't buy mandatory insurance. It doesn't happen here, and we researched to find out if anybody on Fox News had ever said you're going to jail if you don't buy health insurance. Nobody's ever said it.
The key word is research, isn't it? Media Matters called O'Reilly's bluff with some stinging video evidence showing that he was flat out dead wrong. Now, he tried to pin the blame on Coburn on Wednesday.
The senator from Oklahoma, if people missed it last night, had criticized Fox News about certain things and didn't really have his facts in line.
I missed the press release. I didn't know they were bringing back Beavis and Butthead. Now, look, I wish I could tell you that the story ended right there, but Bill just won't give it up. He jumped deeper into the foxhole last night.
As we all know, the prison option was taken off the table when the final Obamacare bill was being debated, and that's what we were talking to Senator Coburn about, the final bill debate, not all that stuff. So what I said is absolutely true. Nobody at Fox News reported inaccurately about the Obamacare prison situation. Nobody.
Oh, wait a minute now. Hold the phone. Nobody covered the health care debate in this country on cable more than I did, okay? From day one when I got here, that's what we talked about. Now, I haven't heard anything about the prison option because it didn't exist. Okay, so we did our research. We checked with factcheck.org today, and we also called Senator Tom Harkin's office, who just happens to be the chairman of the Help Committee. Both say O'Reilly is wrong. Now, and if that's not good enough for you, take a look at Congressman Ron Kind. Here he is questioning the head of the IRS, Douglas Shulman, in a Ways and Means Committee hearing.
And no taxpayer is going to be subject to any IRS liens or levies or jail time for failing to disclose insurance requirements to the IRS?
That is what the legislation calls for, yes.
I think this story speaks volumes about O'Reilly's journalistic judgment and his desire for the truth. He just can't stop digging into the hole, can he? It's always been the pattern that way over at the right-wing network across the street. They are absolute masters at lying and spinning, even in the no-spin zone. People buy this garbage and they treat it like gospel, and really this is how conservatives have manipulated the conversation on the health care debate and the stimulus package, but of course they both passed. Earlier this week, I told the National Action Network this. We have to be very cognizant of the fact that 90% of the electronic media in this country is owned, operated, programmed, and controlled by conservatives. They made a concerted effort during and before the Reagan years that they were going to get the microphone. The fact is we have conservatives on the air electioneering. That goes for both radio and TV. Now, it's interesting. Just last night, Fox News pulled Sean Hannity away from a starring role in a Tea Party rally. Rupert Murdoch recently said that the network should not be supporting the Tea Party movement. Hannity was set to broadcast and cheerlead Thursday night for the Tea Party crowd in Cincinnati, but was forced to come back to New York Thursday evening after network executives learned of the whole plan and thought it was unacceptable. Cincinnati Tea Party founder Mike Wilson blames Media Matters for the Fox News executives caving in. Get your cell phones out, folks. I want to know what you think about this tonight. Tonight's text survey is, do you think O'Reilly and Hannity deliberately lie to their viewers? Text A for yes and text B for no to 622-639. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. Joining me now is Eric Burns of Media Matters for America. Eric, good to have you on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I guess in all of my years of radio and television, I've never seen an anchor of this stature in the industry make up something to cover his backside for a lie. Is this an absolute test case plus a positive story?
Look, you might be able to compare his efforts to cover up the lie with, with other folks at Fox News, Ed. I mean, that would be the only possible comparison. But Bill O'Reilly, even in that den of thieves, he really kind of stands alone. And just to show you how bad it is, we did a little more digging and found out that 2 days before the final passage of the final bill, Bill Hemmer was pushing the same lie on Fox News. And just this last Saturday, almost a month after the health care bill was signed into law, we had folks on the Fox Business Network pushing the same lie. So it's beyond an open and shut case. And I think the takeaway here about Bill O'Reilly is that, he's tried to paint himself this year as kind of the reasonable voice and the reasonable man. The truth is, he's just the same old Bill.
Well, I take a look at this story, and I see a guy who is ginning up an angle. We called Senator Harkin's office today. There's never been anything known throughout this whole debate as the prison option.
I know.
This is flat out making stuff up.
Absolutely.
Now, do you find him making stuff up on other stories in your research over the years?
Of course we do. We see a pattern of it every day. I mean, look, Fox News is the very definition, unfortunately, of the big lie. This is how they do business. And they depend on being able to, orchestrate and push these lies, scare people to advance their political agenda, and to do so deliberately. But then they can't ever admit that they were lying, because the minute that they do, it hurts them with their advertisers.
But have you ever seen him come back show after show and make stuff up to cover their tracks? I mean,
usually they'll just ignore you and move on and keep on lying. I mean, that's the general pattern.
He is definitely punching down on this.
Well, Bill O'Reilly's got thin skin, and you and I both know that. And so he likes to pretend to take his honor and his integrity seriously. But I think what this really shows is that he just doesn't have any, because if he did, he would just man up and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. That's the right thing to do, because he is wrong, and the evidence is just irrefutable, Ed.
It is amazing. And it's amazing that people follow this stuff. Eric Burns, great to have you with us tonight. Appreciate your time and great work as always. Robert Greenwald is with us tonight of Brave New Films. He made the documentary Outfoxed. No man, I think, has really followed the career of Bill O'Reilly and his lies more than this gentleman. And I have to ask you, Mr. Greenwald, is this one for the archives?
Yeah, it's way up there, Ed. Let me say, it's way up there. And you nailed it at the beginning of the show. The problem is O'Reilly said he had done some research. They don't know how to research over there. He's never done it, never will do it, and this is more evidence of that. But we see this pattern over and over again. Just about 2 years ago, we did a video showing that there were homeless vets in America, and O'Reilly came on and said, no, there are no such thing as homeless vets, and we had the visual evidence.
Yeah, well, he does a lot of this. He makes stuff up and has done it for years. But what's interesting here is that most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, the Fox anchors are always on the same page, pushing the same angles with the 2, 3 or 4 key words in the story. But this time, Neil Cavuto has come out and said, no, we checked it out and we did say this on the air. Yet O'Reilly is still going at it. Is this a first?
I think so, and I think we should start a campaign that Neil Cavuto should be fired from Fox for disagreeing with Bill O'Reilly. We know he doesn't like anyone to disagree with him.
Now, do their correspondents in your research over the years do the same thing? I mean, how am I supposed to, as a news consumer, watch Major Garrett stand out in front of the White House when I know O'Reilly bends the story and lies and tries to make stuff up to cover his backside night after night? How do we know their correspondents aren't doing that?
Well, they are doing it, and as we came out in the Outfoxed movie, Ed, with their memos, they get, I don't know if they still get them because our access, as you can imagine, has been cut off. They would get daily memos telling them how they should talk about the news, what the point of view should be, and what they can say and not say. That's not news. That's a political propaganda campaign.
Is this unusual that Rupert Murdoch said a few days ago that none of his people should be aligning themselves with the Tea Party, and then, of course, they pulled Hannity back from the right-wing city of Cincinnati when he was supposed to be up on stage, and he's been seen at these Tea Party rallies, for instance, holding up signs of congressional members like he did in Minnesota. I believe he was waving a sign of Michelle Bachmann. So is this a first for Fox that they would pull somebody off the assignment because it might look bad?
Well, not only would it look bad, he was out fundraising. The Tea Party people were selling tickets to that event using Sean Hannity's presence to raise money. And the fact that Murdoch said this is not acceptable or I'll look into it in some way, I think gives all of us an opening to push very hard when they do that and say, wait a minute, Murdoch says you're not supposed to be doing this. Aren't you listening to your boss over there?
You know, I think about all the things, Mr. Greenwald, that they have been talking about with Barack Obama. Isn't it time for another outfoxed documentary?
Well, Ed, we don't have 10 or 15 hours to do a movie.
You've got to get back to work, Robert.
Okay.
Just because it's Friday evening, come on.
Okay, I'm starting tonight.
Good to have you with us. I appreciate your time tonight. I guess that's just how it goes in cable, folks.